Welcome, everyone. This is Nevada.
Happy International
Sorry. Happy International Men's Day. So, what is this title all about then? Murder of men is a gendered crime? How did I come to that conclusion? Well, it was a realization that came to me as I examined the reactions of people in relation to the deaths of either gender. A man being killed or murdered in a tragic accident is regrettable, but not all that sad. A woman, on the other hand, being killed in a tragic event is terrible, truly a disastrous event, and doubly so if she was murdered. In fact, there are some people that are calling for any individual charged with murdering a woman to also have a hate crime charge tacked on. Now, this was one that I saw coming a while away, and knowing how absolutely over-the-top gynocentric our society is, I honestly would not be surprised if it was legislated. We agonize over the death of women, but not men, because we treat men as disposable. If life value was equal between the sexes, either sex dying would be seen as the true tragedy that it is. We wouldn't have one sex jumping in front of bullets, knives, trains, cars, and all manner of blunt force objects for the other. Sometimes not only physical trauma, as we even shield this gender from the consequences of their own malicious actions, as evidenced by the sentencing differentials between males and females for the same crimes. We also would not intentionally direct our attention to these statistics by gender and laser focus on how many women died, like we do in any and all disaster situations, of which men will nearly always be the majority of casualties, of course. We put emphasis on female suffering and ignore male suffering, and this is merely another facet of gynocentrism. If you cannot agree with me on this point, then you are apparently not able to see the truth, plain as day, in front of your own eyes. I am not saying that women do not suffer. All beings suffer, whether male or female. However, the suffering of one sex has a spotlight shone on it for everyone to see, meanwhile the other is laughed off or justified in some way. This is why males end up as upwards of 80% of homicide victims and workplace fatalities, over 95% of enlisted service member casualties, and 70 to 80% of suicides, perhaps even more. When men suffer or die, we simply do not care, and in fact, we encourage the devaluation of men from a young age, as this means that society will experience less resistance in breaking the spirits of these males down into laborers. We may also treat them as meat shields once they reach adulthood, or possibly even before that, if we need them to die in protection of something. Anything. Do you see where I'm going with this? The reason why males make up such a high number of these statistics isn't because males are just inherently more violent towards each other than to women, because we see males as inherently disposable. Thus, they see fit to enact disposability upon each other. This is why so many males meet their end prematurely compared to women by violent acts. Violence against men is agreeable. Violence against women is not. This is how murder against males is a gendered crime. Males are always the disposable fodder, and this is reflected in our games, our movies, really any form of media. It's so ubiquitous that it even transcends cultural barriers. You won't find escapism from male disposability in these avenues, unfortunately. Our media is so completely saturated with males enforcing disposability upon one another. Somewhat related, I only watched a superhero movie recently, and the sheer amount of thugs and criminals, all male, of course, that I saw beaten to a pulp honestly did not sit quite right with me. I am a pacifist of sorts, and generally, movies do not bother me like this. But hearing the groans of pain and hurt in the voices of these males as they were beaten up, well, it did make me feel uncomfortable. Are we supposed to be cheering about this? The movie itself certainly saw the superhero in a very positive light, so I would guess so. All we see forever and always is males enforcing disposability on one another in our media. But I digress. The point is, when males are killed, we are not as alarmed, as we all fully accept that males are worth less than females, and this is 100% based upon gender. This is also why males will be attacked first in situations of violent crime. They are seen as the elements of humanity that we can dispose of. Meanwhile, most criminals will spare women from harm, or at the very least, death. Not to mention, it is also why males are the people that are in the position to have disposability enacted upon them in the first place. People will argue that we put males in the roles of security and bodyguards or bouncers because they're more physically able than women, but I don't necessarily agree with this. If we lived in a society that valued men over women, the type of society that many people believe we do live in, we would make concessions that no men were hurt, and women would be put in these situations. Situations where they are more likely to encounter some form of bodily trespass sooner or later. Yet what do you see? Male disposability is the law of our current society, and even those that see this injustice are just too apathetic to care about it. Well, I care, and that's why I am making this video, why I'm going to continue making videos. I want to spread the word. No man is disposable. Not me, not you watching this video, nor any male out there. Our life value has been robbed of us by a society that does not have our best interests at heart. Take back that which has been taken from you, and start to value your life again. Do something for yourself for a change. And if you feel you still can, try to help liberate other males from this plight. You all have infinite worth and life value, and I will not stop until all males know that they are important and special. Have a good International Men's Day, everyone. And until next time, keep safe.